Should Memphis try to use Phoenix's first next year to get in the KD sweepstakes? Do you think Memphis should be trying to get in on this?
Yes, absolutely.
Even though KD doesn't want to go there.
Yeah.
Take the risk.
Yes, 100%. They're a team that's worth taking the risk for. Because
is Jaren Jackson Jr., Kevin Durant, Ja Morant, and whatever else
a
championship contender in the West? Is that enough?
I think it's closer than what they are right now. Because
to
me, yeah, that's
closer
the
or close enough.
Closer, not close enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's close enough. So okay, let's talk about it like this. Bane just got traded. They were dead last in pull-up three frequency last year, right? And they just lost their best three-point shooter. Dude. I'm not saying KD is a wildly proficient, like he's not a guy who likes to take a ton of threes. He does more of his damage in the mid-range.
Mm-hmm.
Where else is that offense going other than Ja Morant barreling down the paint and Jaren Jackson post-ups? Like that, to me, that is a big question for the Grizzlies, right? And maybe it is they're going in a different direction and they want to kind of change things. But from what we've heard and what's been reported, it feels like they want to build around Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. To build around that, you need a release valve. You need a guy who can take some usage and score buckets for you. Kevin Durant is that guy. And he obviously raises their ceiling to a different level, in my opinion. And also, it's sort of a last-ditch effort, truthfully, to see if they can actually compete for a championship given that superstar-level player versus what they're doing right now, which feels middling in the Western Conference.
Yeah, it's I think for Memphis, they're in a position right now where I wonder if they play both paths. If they're a team that becomes patient, because that Suns pick, that is the most valuable pick they got in the trade easily. Those Magic picks, 28 and 30, are unprotected, but the Magic should be good.
They should be competitive.
They should be very good. They should at worst be like the 6th seed or the 7th seed. At best, maybe they're the 1 seed in those years. And they also have the swap in 29 as well. But I don't think Orlando projects as a bad or average team at that point. They'll probably be in the top 6 of the East, possibly even the top 2 or 3. Now, that 26 Suns pick, that's where things are possibly interesting. It could also be a Wizards pick. It is a swap. So if the Suns are horrible and that pick is a lottery pick, well, maybe that pick raises in value. So for Memphis, I don't know if they should rush it here because I don't think unless you have 2 moves, I don't think you're going to be good enough next season. And I think there's a lot of ifs involving Zach Edey getting better, the younger guys on this roster continuing to improve, Ja Morant returning to his peak level. He's nowhere close to peak Ja, who was dominant in the playoffs. Like, you remember what he was doing against the Golden State Warriors before he got hurt? It was like 35 points a game on elite efficiency. It's amazing.
Like a couple of years ago when they were competing against the Warriors, it was like, wow, this Grizzlies team has such a big window of opportunity. They have time to develop and figure things out, and it's just gone like that. It's evaporated because of the fact that Morant hasn't been healthy, because Jaren Jackson Jr. has been good, but not good enough to get them to that next level. And now you're looking at a team that's just like in the West. How are you going to be good enough? Like you said, Kevin, how are you going to be as competitive as you possibly can be? Like, do you think the Grizzlies next season, as currently constructed, are a top 6 team in the West? I don't think so.
No, I think if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies, look, I think you want to be competitive if you're going to keep Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja Morant. But I think best case scenario would be what didn't happen this year, and that's to miss the playoffs and to get a lottery pick. And in a year in which there's 3 guys at least that are of number 1 pick quality, A.J. DeBonsa at BYU, Darren Peterson at Kansas, and Cam Boozer at Duke, all 3 of those guys are number 1 pick worthy. And if you have a 25% chance of moving up into the top 4, like I think next year, I think Memphis should play this patiently. Is my perspective here. I would not enter the Kevin Durant sweepstakes right now unless there's 2 guys. Unless you think you can get KD, and there's another guy out there where you feel like both of these guys make us into true contenders in the West. I'd be patient here, and because it's not like Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. are old. They're still in their mid-20s, and those guys could still get better too. Like Jaren Jackson did get better last season. He did more off the dribble. He was way better last season. So if Ja returns to form, and if Jaren Jackson continues ascending, and you get some internal development from your young guys, and if you get a good pick next year from the Phoenix pick or from your own picks, I'd play that path if I'm the Grizzlies. That's what I'd do.
Also, like, you know, who knows if Thomas Isalo is like, maybe he's the guy who helps them take that next step, reinvents their offense, makes them a more dynamic offensive team in the half court. And, you know, given a full summer to kind of figure out how this team looks around Ja and Jaren, maybe he helps them take that next step in the next level. Like they brought him in for a reason. They think he's a guru who can really elevate this team. Maybe that's the world in which we're living in, where the Grizzlies take a step purely because of internal development. We haven't even mentioned Santi Aldama, who they're looking to re-sign. Like that's another guy who I think might be able to take a step in the right direction next season too.
For sure. I mean, like GG Jackson missed most of the beginning of last season. Maybe he comes back fresh summer and he has a good year. Jalen Wells, who was in the Rookie of the Year conversation, maybe he comes back and has an even better year. Like they have a lot of good quality young guys in that team. And so I wouldn't rush it if I'm the Grizzlies.